What's up, everybody? Welcome to Mongol, sponsor Roughneck Scarves. I'm Mike. With me is Kevin Josh. The Hounds were literally robbed of 2 points by the ref in Miami, and we are going to break it all down. Guys, look, if it wasn't for not talking to you for a few weeks, I was literally just going to roll the clip and we were just going to get right into it. But figured I would stop and just touch base a little bit. What's been going on, Josh? That I can't tell if that's a sigh of relief because there's less that you have to do this week, or just you don't want to talk about this game, or what's going on.
I mean, that's nice. I like not hosting. I do just realize I have my beverage that I have to open, but it's not a victory beverage. But
yeah.
So it's slight opening of a can.
Do this for professionals. This should be your career. The control,
the set
over that.
I'm a professional beer opener.
Yes, commercials and everything. That was incredible.
Yeah,
but yeah. Other than this game, I'm doing pretty good.
Good.
Nothing to complain about.
Kev, how's life in Tennessee? You were sipping some whiskey before we got on air.
I was, yeah. And it was my turn to go to Asheville, so I went this weekend, and it was nice. Just did the normal stuff. So
I feel like now I need to make a pilgrimage there since you guys have.
It'd be wonderful. I'd love to hang out with you guys.
Isn't it? Was it back-to-back weeks? Josh, you went last week, Kevin, or 2 weeks ago. Kevin went this week.
I think it was 2 week difference.
Yeah, I think it's 2 weeks. Yeah, it feels like forever ago at this point, just because time flies. But yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm happy to be back. We have our last game tomorrow night. It's senior night.
For your kid.
For my kid. Yeah, it's not for me. No. No, it's been a bit of a whirlwind getting back into high school soccer for any of those who are involved. You know exactly what I mean. But yeah, glad to be back. Let's just do this, guys. There's one thing we're going to talk about tonight, and it's this.
Martinez is taken down, and it's going to be a foul called on Mikel Williams. Trinidad and Tobago man called for his foul. Oh no, it's a goal! When playing it out of the back goes wrong, Miami have conceded a howler. What happened there?
What happened there is correct, guys. So, a couple things to point out. And I know that this was, literally a 7-second moment of the game. But a couple of things that are interesting upon replay. So, just to set the scene for those of you who aren't watching live, we're obviously talking about in this game, Hounds versus Miami. Final score was 0-0. But there was a moment in the game where Miami was awarded an indirect kick just outside of their own box. The player sets up, passes it to, their left back, who then dribbles a little bit, then decides to turn around and pass it back to their keeper, Connor Sparrow, who misses it, and it goes in the net. At this point, Hounds are like, hey, it's an own goal. I think even Miami was like, it's an own goal. And the ref said, hold on a minute, it's a corner kick. What's interesting of that clip, and there's been a ton of discussion on Twitter. It looked like the Hounds Twitter sort of blew up because they posted the clip. If you try to watch the replay of the game or the highlights of the game, I should say the highlights, not the full replay. If you try to watch the highlights, it's not included in the highlights. Why would it not be included in the highlights? We could talk about that in a second. But yeah, it was basically an own goal. But
before you keep talking about it, I didn't know that they didn't include it in the highlights. That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
No, it's not even, no.
There's a lot of shady stuff going on here, which
I'm going to push back a little bit about this conspiracy because in the highlight reels, they usually don't show very much other than goals. It's usually the highlight reel is literally just chances on goal or goals if they're, and that's it.
Doesn't this fall into both of those categories, Joshua?
I mean, it was not counted as a goal, so therefore, no, it wasn't. I mean, the fact that it was not a, attacking play or anything like that. I still think it's stupid because it's a big part of this game. It's
like the most contentious parts of the game.
Oh, yeah.
Like it
But
feels like you're hiding something.
But you also don't ever see like, really contentious like red cards in these highlight reels or like just red cards in general. Like you don't get to see the controversy in these highlight reels ever from the league, at least. So it shouldn't be that surprising.
Yeah, I don't know. There's a couple of things we can get on the whole, like how the league is handling this kind of thing, because I think there's a whole conversation that can be had about that. Couple of things from the clip. So first of all, I think that a lot of people, especially when this first happened, there was a lot of talk on social media saying that the three of us were going to have a field day with this today. I don't think that we should not spend the entire episode talking about this. There was the rest of the game that was played, even though this was a big part of the game. I can understand how we feel wrong done by this, because essentially this could be 3 more points and we wouldn't be currently tied with Charlotte. Right now we're in 3rd place in the table. We'd be sitting ahead of them in a home playoff spot. But right now we're not, because the ref decided to take it away.
And it would all but essentially confirm Miami's position in at least 3rd or 4th.
Correct. Couple things, and this is sort of what I want to pick your guys' brains about. There were 3 big things. So first of all, ball was kicked. There is a rule, and it's been circulating online, where if there is an indirect free kick and the person taking the kick puts the ball directly into their own goal, then it is a corner kick for the opposing team. So the fact that Miami put the ball into their own goal and the refs awarded a corner kick leads me to believe, clearly they haven't stated anything at all, that was the rule that was on their mind, that Miami put the ball into their own net. It's a corner kick for the Hounds. So there's that bit of it. There's the actual rule. Second, when the player put the ball down, he literally looks directly at the ref. There seems to be some acknowledgement, and I can play the clip again.
No, there's I'll cut in. There's absolutely acknowledgement. The
There's
ref
acknowledgement.
sees what happens, because the other big thing is you keep, like, if you're a ref who really wants to play these things by the book, you make sure the ball is not moving before the they resume play. The ref makes sure that the ball is not moving. You can see it in the clip. I watched back and look at it, and play resumes, and the ref observes play and continues to run away. He sees the pass made to the left back. He observes the play and he continues, and he even stops running back in the other direction as soon as he sees the left back make the pass back to the goalkeeper. So he's fully aware of everything that's happening. This isn't a confusion of, oh, did he just pass it back to the goalkeeper? The ref is fully complicit in what's happening.
Correct. So the ref is fully complicit. In the ref's mind, we have to assume, based on his body language, based on how he essentially let play go on for like 7 seconds after the ball was put down and kicked, that in his mind, play had resumed. Now, the ball is then kicked towards the Miami goal. Sparrow, the keeper, lunges for it to stop it and misses it, and it goes in the net. At that point, if you go back and rewatch the clip, Sparrow seems to think it's a no goal. Now, why would Sparrow assume that it's not a goal? He lifts his head up, he starts waving to the ref saying that it's not a goal. There's that bit of it where it's like, if Sparrow reacts differently, are we still having the same conversation? If he's like, crap, then is the ref just like, well, yeah, it's a goal?
I mean, as far as Sparrow goes, like, you see this constantly with, goals that get awarded, like from corner kicks or from, like, everyone on the opposing team is going to put their hand up for offside. They're going to act like something's wrong. They're going to look at the line judge. Like, a keeper is never going to be like, well, you scored. Like, he's going to protest it and try to, say shenanigans and get the goal called off. So, like, I don't think we should ever expect the keeper to be the one who, shows some self-reflecting and know that it was a goal. And from the looks of it, it doesn't look like the main ref is the one who had an issue. it looked like it came from the sideline. Like it either came from the middle or from the ref down by the goal. The line judge, like it looked like they're the ones that said, like, hold on, this might not be a goal. Because I don't think he was talked into it. The main ref, like I don't think he was originally going to award it. It was like, whatever, it's a goal, obviously. And then suddenly he got called over, and the discussion started happening, and it took forever. If you watch the whole thing, like I think it's like about 2 minutes of them discussing stuff and the players getting in their faces, and and Bob and the other coach, yelling at. Actually, I don't remember seeing Miami's coach yelling too much. Just Bob.
It's because he knew he was getting a freebie.
Oh,
that's why.
Yeah. So like it's definitely a situation where it was not clear, because if it was, they would have called it right away, and they didn't. And I don't know what they saw, and that's what's so frustrating about not having any communication from pro or from the league, is like, what is the reasoning they made this decision? I got a feeling the reason why we're not hearing anything, because there wasn't good reasoning, so there's nothing they can say. And I don't expect at this point for them to go back and like give us 3 points, because that's not fair.
Right.
Like, you don't know how the rest of this game would go if it would have been awarded a goal. So like, that's not an option, and I know that's not an option. It's just the fact that it happened at all is what's terrible.
The second the ball was put back into play, like, our hopes of it counting as a goal were gone. Like, even if they came back later in the game and were like, you know what, we're going to give that one to the Hounds, that's not fair at that point. So I think what is most frustrating about this is that a couple things. One, that the call was made. I think we're always going to be like, well, look, at the end of the season, this may not matter at all. We may still end up getting second place, and we just move on, and it's fine. Great. I think the most frustrating thing is the complete lack of acknowledgement by the USL Championship and by pro referees to just say, we screwed up. Like, everybody screws up. Like, the Hounds do it multiple times a game. We call them out on it all the time. Like, just come out and say, you know what? Our bad. We got that call wrong. We can't change it now, but like, we're sorry, and we'll try better next time. Like, that's all we need to hear. Or the USL to literally just say, look, we know there was an issue. We apologize for the discrepancy, and we move forward. But I feel like as a league and as an association, there's either too much pride, or you just don't want to show that you're growing and that you can make mistakes. And I have less respect for you when you say nothing than if you came out and said, our bad, we screwed up. Because, like I said, we all screw up. The team screw up multiple times a game. It's just...
And I think this isn't a case where it's like a slippery slope, because the terrible argument that governing bodies would make is that if we start feeling like we need to justify every call, we feel like we're going to need to justify every foul, every yellow card, every red card. No, you don't. This is like, read the room. Like, look at the context of this situation. This was two teams, two playoff teams, fighting for a home playoff game. I mean, forget like standings. Like, fine, if you want to be pedantic enough, you could say like there are economic benefits here on the line. Like, a home playoff game for the Hounds is huge. I mean, so this was a big moment for two teams fighting out for playoffs at the end of the season. This wasn't the first or second game of the season either. So read the room. Like, this isn't going to lead to you having to explain every yellow card or red card that you make. So, yeah, I mean, I think that's the extremely frustrating part. Is to me, I mean, I don't really have much more to say about it. I mean, because that's if there's no communication from governing bodies, if there's no communication from the refs, talking about it, like it was such an obvious just run of play. Like, I can't critique anything. Like, Josh, like you made an.
It was a great shot. He like put it in the lower corner. The goalie had no chance.
You made an interesting point that I didn't consider before, of it maybe being the lines ref, like the lines refs call. But even like, okay, yeah, didn't consider that. It doesn't really change much. No. Like, I don't really know. But like everything else, it's just, that's it. They messed up. It was, from my end, call your interpretation of it. tell us where you went wrong and move on. But the fact that it's just radio silence is just terrible. Because unless there is some ambiguity in the rules that we're not privy to, that we don't understand. I mean, Mike, you tried to lay it out at the beginning about, if you have an indirect free kick and you just shoot it into your own goal, then that's not allowed. Unless there's a gray area interpretation where it's like the opposition can't touch the ball at all. So in theory, you can have possession for 2 minutes and then kick it in your own goal. And then it's a corner kick. Unless it's that, in which case just say that and just say that's the rule and we can all move past it. Then it's just a sham and we just need to move on.
Yeah. And so as far as I guess the only thing we can focus on at this point, if we're about the subject at least, is what we want to see going forward as far as this goes. And I think Burger Brand put in the comments was, VAR, and that's actually not an impossibility because we had VAR. We were the league that tested VAR in America. So we've done it in USL before and we could do it again. And I know
Can
it
I
costs
put you on the
money.
spot and give a quick history lesson? Because I didn't even know that.
Yeah, it was just before they got brought over to America. And I think I want to say it was actually before I saw it in really any major leagues at all in the world. We tested out VAR and it was at most of the games or all the games that season. I can't remember what year it was.
This sounds very familiar to me. So yes, I will back you on this. Yeah.
But so they, tested it out and it, after finding out if it works or not and that kind of stuff. But regardless, I feel like it's a possibility and it would cost more money and it would cost the league more money because I feel like the league would have to foot that bill. It wouldn't be the teams.
I mean, look, there's VAR and then there's watching instant replay, right? Clearly the refs were communicating with some other ref somewhere else watching stuff that's telling them you need to do something. And we would have to assume that guy has access or girl has access to instant replay just like all of us do. So it doesn't necessarily have to be the crazy goal line tech with the 3D ball. It's just, we went back and watched it and we screwed up. Yeah.
I mean, they literally had that though. It was pretty much VAR as we see it. And Laura Ellen put in the chat 2017. That sounds right. When it was, but regardless, VAR, something like that. I think in a modern soccer league, you'd need it. It feels so arbitrary without it, and it just makes sense. Obviously, there's ways to implement it that are better than other ways, and I don't want to see us waiting, twiddling our thumbs for 5 minutes as they figure it out. But it needs to happen because it's stuff like this, and I mean, to go on a little bit of rant about the actual play itself, this is going to have major implications. I feel like for the season. Because we haven't looked at the table yet, but if you look at the table, Charlotte is essentially above us right now, and they have a pretty cushy run going forward. They play Loudoun, they play granted Loudoun could be tricky sometimes, but it looks like they're gonna they have 3 games, we have 2 games. They're already ahead of us, so they're probably gonna be in second place unless they really screw up, and that's if we win all of our games. Our next 2 games. So it sucks because this probably means we don't get a home playoff game now. At least the first game of the season.
I think if nothing else, I'd just like to see there be some sort of replay, even for the protection of the refs, just so that they have a chance to go, our bad, we screwed up, let's fix it. And
let's be honest, you have no interest in protecting the refs in this.
That's not true. That's not true.
It's not. True. I agree with you, Mike. Yeah.
Especially watching a lot of these high school games, there's a lot of guys that get it wrong a lot. And I'm if you had a chance to do that one over, you totally would. So this would be your chance that someone else would be you know what? I'm sorry, we got that wrong. We're going to fix it right now on the spot. And that's, like I said, there's a lot of people that have a certain machismo that like to think that they're never wrong. I am not one of those people. I am not proud enough to be I'm never wrong. I am always wrong. And I'm happy to say when I'm wrong because that's an opportunity for myself to grow and get better. So if somebody else is doing it, I'm not going to criticize them. Great. Now, if if you have VAR chiming in like 6 times a game, then maybe you shouldn't be a ref. But like, this is clearly a scenario where there was some confusion, and you had a chance to like get a second set of eyes on it and say like, nah, you were right the first time. It's a goal. So,
and like, obviously, like with how long it took them to decide on what to do, that tells you that they they would have gladly
confused
accepted
too.
help.
Yeah,
they would have been like,
exactly.
I wish we had VAR right now so we could see what the heck happened for
Yep.
sure. So I have no doubt the refs would love it too, because it puts a lot of pressure off of them as far as this goes.
Yeah.
But in the situation as well, something else to keep in mind is USL doesn't pick the refs for, like, they're not the ones, like, this is the organization Pro. So like, I don't understand why USL wouldn't come out and be like, yeah, they got it wrong.
Right.
Pro got it wrong. We are asking Pro to look into this and to, do better next time, because it's not them. They can throw Pro under the bus. I don't see why they don't do that. I mean, unless there's something with their contract and they can't, like, complain about calls or something like that in some crappy business type agreement there. But it seems like this USL could really come out not looking like the bad guy.
Yeah. If
they were to, throw Pro under bus, which I feel like is acceptable in the situation because Pro screwed up.
I think the hope is, I mean, we've seen not calls necessarily this egregious over the course of the season, but I think the hope is you just don't say anything, and then you wait a week and another game is played and there's another round of games played, and after 2 or 3 weeks, everyone just sort of kind of forgets about it, and then it's gone. And that's just what it is. And Kev, you brought up the point that there's literal financial ramifications to this, that if we don't have a home playoff game, that's money that's not in the team's pocket that you're sort of counting on whenever you have a lean year. And, at that point, why even push for a top 2 spot? Like, why not just say we got into the playoffs and it's fine? Because it doesn't really matter, because, there's no guarantee that even there we're going to get a home spot. Like, it's crazy. So,
well, and I guess maybe my last thing on it too,
depending
on how we're talking about VAR being implemented in this scenario, I don't, unless I'm missing something, I don't even think it's a VAR thing. I think it's refs not knowing the rule book the way they should. I mean, because like that's the thing. Like,
this is a weird rule. Like, it's a weird rule, but still, like, you should know it.
Like, I don't think like they didn't not see something. That's the thing. Like, this wasn't happening in under a second. This wasn't happening under 2 seconds. Like, this was a drawn out like thing where everyone knew what was happening. So that's the frustrating thing. This wasn't something that was fast and someone missed something. So in that scenario, VAR would make sense. Fine, cool. Here, go look at a monitor. Go talk to a second, earpiece, whatever. In this scenario, it was just the bet, once again, because they're not clarifying this, the best I can interpret this as, they just didn't know what the rules were, and they made a call, and that's what it was.
What's weird though is, like, I think in the moment, most of us were like, well, why is it a corner kick then? If it's not a goal, why is it a corner kick? So it feels like they knew some interpretation of the rule, that if it's an indirect kick and it goes into the net, then it's a corner kick. But if you were actually confused about, did play actually start? Like, did the ref actually blow the whistle, or did the ref not blow the whistle? In that case, you would think they would just restart the set piece again and give them back the indirect free kick. But that's not what happened. It was a corner kick.
Like, this to happen, I have no issue if you want to play it by the book that much. If the lines ref flags over the main referee and says, wait, no, come over here. You didn't blow your whistle, therefore you can't restart play.
Right.
Fine.
Right.
If you do that from the first whistle of the game.
Right.
But like, this is like, and to be honest, look, maybe he did throughout the entire game, but like, I'm not paying attention. Like, in 9 times, like, no, the ref doesn't like blow the whistle to restart every freaking, like, stop every foul, everything. No, like, you just, especially in these quick restarts, you just put the ball down. As long as the ball's not moving, you restart play. That's fine. And once again, the main ref was fine with it.
Yeah.
Like, the play continues. Yeah. He could have stopped it. He could have stopped it right there, and he didn't. And it's.
All right. Let's.
And sorry, like it literally.
It's been
is
25
like,
minutes, Kev. This is it.
It literally is the difference potentially between second and fourth. Like I mean, we're in third right now. Like, but Miami are 3 points behind us, but with a game in hand. So it could come down to goal differential or something, or whatever the tiebreak is. So we have a very legitimate possibility of finishing fourth now.
Now hold on a second. Like let's walk this back just a second. Yes, there is a very legitimate chance that we will finish out of the top two. We'll say that much. But there was another 94 plus minutes that were played in this game that I think is worth talking about. And we don't need to spend forever because we're already 25 minutes into the episode. But my question to you guys is, did the Hounds deserve 3 points in this game? Because I feel like, you end the game 0-0. We're always going to point to the fact like, oh no, wait, we had that goal that literally was like this gift wrap thing that Miami like we didn't even touch the ball. Miami just was like, we're going to pass this into our net for you. And so, yeah, we feel like we should have had 3 points, but you remove that from the equation. Should we have had 3 points? Did we play well enough to win this game? You look back at what happened. You look at the shots. Danny Griffin had sort of a standalone rip that went just wide. Cicerone had 2-ish shots on goal. Dixon had a shot on goal. Like, we had opportunities. I think we ended up with 9 total shots, 5 of them on target, which is pretty good. But we didn't put any of them away. We did a good job of limiting Miami's chances. But at the end of the day, if you remove that bit from the equation, and we came on the show and we said, are you okay with a draw? Like, do you think we played well enough for a draw, or do you think we should have got a win? Like, Josh, how would you have felt?
No, I mean, that's a good point, because it definitely did feel like, maybe the Hounds, as far as the play goes, fought for a draw. Like, they got that draw. I do think the Hounds are the better team. I felt like they looked the better team, but you don't finish, and that's what happened. And we couldn't get a goal to save our lives. So it is a sad truth that we probably earned the draw, even though that's if you take away this whole ref debacle.
Yeah, it felt like we earned a draw, but this was our chance at like a lottery ticket, and the ref wouldn't cash it. Kev, how do you feel about the rest of the performance?
No, I don't think we deserved 3 points on the run of play, but a point was, what's the word? A point was justified for both teams. I don't think we played well enough to get the win. I don't think Miami played well enough to get the win. I thought this was kind of like two. I don't watch boxing, but I don't recently have been using a lot of boxing metaphors. I think this is like two good boxers. Neither of them knock each other out, and someone wins narrowly on a points decision at the end. Like, I think that it was well matched throughout the entire game. Stats were pretty even. They create some chances. We create some chances. We have periods of the game where we're on top. They have periods in the game where they're on top. And so, yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it was a draw felt about right. I'll stop myself from saying anything more.
I will say I'm getting really tired of watching Francois dive anywhere near the box. We've had him on the show. He's a lovely gentleman. I like talking to him, but stay on your feet, man. Like, it's
nice to want things. It's nice.
It's so true. If he was still in Pittsburgh, I'd be like, you're great, man. But yeah, it's so annoying.
You're gonna start yelling at our players to not try to get throw-ins, Mike?
Is that where we're going? You want to go there? I listened to the show. Yeah. I know that's where you want to go. But
one day I'll get us to do.
Let's save that for an off-season show.
Yeah, that sounds like an off-season.
We're gonna have a lot to talk about in the off-season. I thought our defense did a good job of limiting chances, other than whatever it was, like the first 30 seconds where Vitiello had to come out and make a save. For the most part, he didn't have a ton to do. Even their set pieces were like right at him. So, previously, I know you guys got to talk about the Tampa game last week, but in previous weeks, we were talking about how shaky the defense looked. And this was a case where they went up against a Miami team who needed 3 points. I mean, Miami had lost to Loudoun, and so the whole table had flipped. And we did a good job of holding them at bay. So let me ask you this. based on this performance, and then, we'll sort of, unless there's other things you guys want to talk about this game, we'll sort of turn the page and start to talk about these next two games. We'll talk about the table and all that. But based on this performance, do you guys feel, obviously, beating Tampa at home is huge. Like, I think in terms of our confidence, how we feel, that's great. The big test was always going to be going back to Miami and seeing how we perform. Did we do enough in this game that now, 2 games out from the playoffs, you're feeling a little bit better about our chances as we go into the playoffs? Or do you still feel like, potentially the Tampa game was a bit of an anomaly and we're actually the team that played Miami the first time that we had lots of complaints about and we're too shaky? Or is the inconsistency the biggest concern? Like, I just threw out like 8 different options. So Kev, go ahead and pick one of them and tell me, how are you feeling based on this performance as we head towards the playoffs?
Yeah, I mean, so quickly, the Tampa game, in a similar way to this Miami game, I actually felt like a draw was reasonable. I mean, I thought it was a really good game. We end up finishing 2 chances and they don't. Dos Santos hits one off the bar that like may or may not have gone over the line, and they also get a penalty that they miss. And we just happen to convert both of our chances. So the Tampa game was good in this. I don't think we were like 2-0 better than Tampa in that game necessarily, but Tampa are an incredible team. They've been incredible over the past few months. They're going to finish our division, top of our division. They're going to finish, go into the playoffs as one of the best teams in the USL. And we got a 2-0 win from them and played them really, really well, really strongly. Same thing with Miami. I think Miami was a huge. I mean, ask the players this, and they might not agree with this, but I think Miami was kind of a huge mental hurdle for us. With all the times that we've gone up against them, and then they come back and either draw or win. Particularly the game 2 weeks ago, going away on a long distance travel for a crucial game that mattered. I think that's something that I've been talking about a lot. Is it seems like when the chips are down, this team doesn't tend to show up. I thought the Hounds did against this game, and they put in a good enough performance to warrant, a positive result that we would walk away from. And so based off of that, I kind of see us as an even keel with Tampa, Miami, whatever. I mean, we absolutely belong in this group of playoff teams that are going to be represented in our division. So in that sense, yeah, I mean, I feel more confident than I did 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago about, if we go up against, Lou City, or if we go up against Birmingham, all good. Not all good. It's gonna be really difficult, but I think these 2 games have given me a lot more confidence.
Josh, I mean, does this, in your mind, do the Hounds have a ceiling, or is it they can beat any team on any day? Like, how do you feel about this?
So in this whole, smaller conferences, smaller, it's hard to know, because I believe confidently that we could beat any team in the Atlantic division, because we have. So like, that's, a good thing. But like, I still don't know what would happen if us or the Rowdies went up against, Louisville. Like, it's hard to know this season what to expect from these other teams outside of our division, of what it's going to be like. But overall, I feel pretty confident. I feel like this is one of the hardest divisions, like conferences in the whole league. Like, I don't think we should be scared of any team. And I do think this performance was pretty good. Like, other than the fact that we couldn't find the back of the net, like, they looked good. And the fact that we were able to hold them to 0 is fantastic. So it's not the best result, but it still kind of made me more confident in this team than not, as far as what we can do. It's just, there's not a lot of season left. And so therefore it does feel a little bit dour, just because it's like, sucks, because there's not enough games to really make a big difference, especially with how tight this division is, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But yeah, so I did not feel bad about this game if it wasn't for that one call. Like, taking that out of the equation, overall, this game wasn't a very terrible, result for us as far as look and play.
I think my concern, and honestly, we got 2 games left to the season, and 2 games is enough time to really sort of ramp up and go in guns a-blazing. It just feels like this team is too streaky. Like, there are times that we could look amazing, and there are times that we'll get 9 shots on net and none of them really connect. And it's just the lack of consistency. And I think you see that somewhat across the board in the USL. If you have a team that is consistent, they're typically sort of top of the table kind of teams. And so I think that's one thing that the Hounds have lacked this year is that consistency. They've consistently been inconsistent. And, I'd like to see them turn it around. We have the Battery and we have Hartford left. Both teams that they're out of the playoffs. It's not happening. So if we go ahead and throw up the standings here on the screen, Tampa have locked up essentially first place with 62 points. There's nobody that's catching them. The Independents are currently tied with us with 52, but because the Independents have one extra game to play than we do, they're in second place and we are in third place. Miami is in fourth place on 49 points. So Miami, 3 points back from us, also have a game in hand. So there is a scenario where Miami could get the same number of points as we do if all teams win out. So, which is a possibility because Charlotte doesn't play Miami in this case. We don't play Charlotte. So if all the teams win out, then both, Miami could have the same number of points as we do, and Charlotte would end up above us, and we would end up in either third or fourth. I forget what the tiebreaker is. So playoff positioning is sort of out of our hands at this point. Guys, I mean, if we're just sort of looking ahead to our next 2 games, obviously both of them are at Highmark, which is kind of huge. We're playing against the Battery. The positive is we play the Battery next weekend on Saturday, and the Battery actually travel to play Los Angeles Galaxy 2 on Wednesday before coming to Highmark on Saturday. So that's not just like a little road trip. That's like literally across the country, like coast to coast road trip, and then come back and play us on Saturday. So the Battery are going to be somewhat tired, and the Battery are already out of the playoffs, so they don't have a ton to play for. Likewise, a week later, we play Hartford, and Hartford will play the Battery midweek before playing us on the weekend. So we have a favorable run of 2 games. Now, if we don't demolish both of those teams, I think we definitely go into the playoffs feeling a little more concerned than we should. But I mean, are you guys, are you at all, how do you see the shakeout? There's 2 games left. Josh, pick a position. Do we end up second, third, or fourth? And I'll throw the table back up on the screen just so that you can.
No, yeah, it's fine. So I've been staring at the table. I've been staring at the table all day today, so it's fine. So here's the thing. I feel like we can win out. Like, we could win both these games. Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying that, it's guaranteed, but I feel pretty confident in this team. They could win both these games. Mm-hmm. And I think should win both these games. But even with winning both these games, what you really got to look at is who Charlotte plays. Because Charlotte is the one who's, right above us. It's tied on points. Charlotte plays 3 games. We only play 2 games. They play Hartford on Friday. Then they play Loudoun on Wednesday. And then they play Austin Bold on Saturday. We need them to lose 2 of those games, essentially. Like, it's, I guess I could,
lose and draw once.
Yeah. They could draw one. So yeah, it's really tough because like I look at their schedule because it means more right now to me than looking at our schedule.
Yeah.
Because they're the ones that could easily get, second place.
Yeah.
And I don't feel confident that they lose 2 of these games.
Yeah.
Against Hartford, Loudoun, and Austin Bold.
The tough part is that, just real quick, that Austin Bold game is October 30th, which is the same night that we play Hartford. They start their game at 8 p.m. Our game will be at 7. So we won't even know the result of that game when we head into ours. We literally just have to win, and then everybody jumps to a TV and see what the final score of that game is. But that's just what it's going to be. Kev, go ahead.
What is the tiebreak if someone ends up even on points? Is it goal difference?
I want to say it was goals for. They seem to change it like every year in the USL. For some
They
reason,
probably don't, and we're just terrible at following the rules.
No, I legit think it's goals for this year. I feel like Josh is feverishly looking while I'm just sort of vamping here.
Because
it's
go ahead, Josh.
It's head-to-head points earned in regular season first, and then second is goal differential in head-to-head matches. It's league standings.
Whoa, wait, goal differential in head to head. So
That's
first
for,
of all, it
yeah.
would be like, so if we played Charlotte 3 times, first of all, I don't think have we officially beat Charlotte? I can't even remember. We might have beat them once.
We beat them once because Charlotte is our Achilles heel of a team.
Yes. And then even if you're then tied on win, loss, draw, then it goes to goal differential in those 3 games. Oof.
I don't think we need to worry about that.
Yeah, it's not great. It's not great.
It looks like yeah, no, we've played Charlotte like 4 times this year and we've lost 3. So
yeah.
Oof. Freaking
So
Charlotte.
we can't tie them on points. Otherwise we're sitting 3rd.
Yeah, goal differential in head-to-head matches.
Yeah. So
yeah.
So because of that, yeah, I think we finished 3rd and level on points with Charlotte. I think essentially we went out and Charlotte win their next 2 and then lose to Austin. But it doesn't matter.
Yeah, and at that point it doesn't matter. So like we need Charlotte to essentially have a bad run, or obviously Loudoun to have a good run. Like it's possible.
It's possible. I mean, what, Loudoun just beat Miami?
No, yeah, I'm not saying it's not possible.
And they beat us. So
yeah.
I would say there's hope for sure. It's possible.
Look, honestly, 2 weeks ago, we went into the game against Tampa thinking like, here we go. And then Miami lose to Loudoun and the whole thing was flipped. That was just 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
So like literally anything's possible. But I think that you would much rather be in the position where you hold your fate in your hands rather than hoping that a team pulls an Indy 11 and implodes, last few games and just gives you a spot in the top 2.
I will say the other thing too. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. Not having your fate in your hands is the worst part. And something else to keep in mind is like, holy crap, the Atlantic Division is the craziest of all the divisions right now because we're the only one that already has it decided on who's making the playoffs and who's not. Like every other division in the league, it's still up for grabs. Heck, I think the Mountain Division, only El Paso is guaranteed to make the playoffs and only Real Monarchs is guaranteed not to make the playoffs. Like everyone else is still fighting for it. So like the fact that we are to the point already where we know that 4 teams are making it and 4 teams are not making it is pretty impressive.
Yeah. And that's either indicative of, those 4 teams being really, really good, or it's another scenario like last year where those 4 bottom teams were just really bad and we were all able to stack up points against them. We lost to Loudoun, so we can't say that it's that, the teams are that terrible, but like
we can. Loudoun only has 15 points on the season. And we have 52 and Tampa Bay has 62 versus their 15. So they're not great.
I think the other thing too, I mean, right now as it sits, I think there is an uneasiness with me of the very real potential of us finishing 4th. But I think we almost get a quick answer on the Miami scenario this week because I think Miami's next game is against Tampa. And that's obviously their hardest game left in the season. If Tampa beats them, okay, cool. Like Miami is no longer our business for the most part. I think. I mean, we're gonna have to like in any scenario. I'm saying we win out. But yeah, so in that scenario, fine, Miami's, and then we're just looking at Charlotte.
Yeah. I mean, I honestly don't care. Like, it's hard for me to care between 3rd and 4th.
Oh, of course.
I only care about second. Like
Yeah.
if we don't get second, I don't know how much I really care about getting third or fourth place. I know it changes who we play, and it is, somewhat a big deal, but if it's not second, then whatever. I'm just glad we're in the playoffs if it's not second.
Do you guys remember when before Bob was here and we were just like hoping for
yeah.
like fifth? Like we're like, can we just get like be really, really close and maybe we just like kind of squeak in and the Dave Brandt era and
Oh boy.
it's just I mean so part of me feels
all
like
that stuff is for season recaps. We get to be
I know. Part of me
Stay
feels
focused.
like we're like spoiled right now, but
season recap.
on the flip side, I think the biggest what I need to see now, I'm almost like past these two games. We're in the playoffs regardless. Can we win our first playoff game? Can we win our only once in the Bob Lilly era have we gotten past the first playoff game? And then we lost in the second playoff game. So like at this point now, we're talking, I don't want to say Lilly out. I like Bob. We have a lot of fun talking. I'm not saying Lilly out, but I'm saying if you go 4 years in a row and the goal is to win a championship and you can't get past that first round, something's got to change.
Yes. But
for those of you not watching, that pained Kevin a lot.
There's a lot of subtext here. Like something needs to change and it doesn't necessarily mean the manager.
Oh,
like,
no, I'm not saying that.
I think the whole thing about managerial success is outperforming the resources that you're given. Yes. And I think I don't know, not intuitively, my gut would tell me if anything would need to change. It's not necessarily the manager. It's maybe the resources that we put at squad, building or something. I don't know.
When the manager controls those resources, but yes, we can have that conversation. Speaking of which, did you guys see the trailer for the Arsene Wenger biopic that Amazon's putting out? Looks amazing. Anyway, sorry, you talking about manager and resources just made me think of that. It looks really, really good. Anyway,
but go to your original question about feeling confident. No, I think if we have an away game in the first round of the playoffs, 20% chance that we win. I mean, like that's without calling it 3 weeks away or whatever, or even longer, and not knowing who our opponent is. That's the best I can do. But no, I don't feel great about it, especially if it's Lou City again.
Well, there is one thing that Mike, you said earlier that kind of is a negative, but could also be a huge positive. Is this team's streaky, and like in the playoffs, all you need is a good streak. It doesn't, it's one of those things where it's better to be lucky than good sometimes, and we definitely have some runs where it's like we just go on a tear, and that's. You just need to be hot at the right moment in the playoffs. It doesn't matter about who's the better team. It matters who's hot at that moment. Yep. So it's very well could be like, yes, we could make it all the way. Yeah. Who knows?
But
I'm not confident.
I think what's interesting is that it feels like Charlotte is that team right now. I think Charlotte is on the tear right now. Now, they still have 3 games where they could trip up before they get into the play. I'd love to see Charlotte play Tampa and just see how that game shakes out. Like, just where do they both stand right now? That's why I have a little bit of confidence. I think this game against the Battery is huge. If we go out and we just like tromp the Battery and we win 4-0, okay. Like now there's this glimmer of hope that when Hartford comes to town, you beat them 3-0. Now you're cruising and you have some confidence to ride into the playoffs. If we play the Battery and we beat them 3-2, like a team that's already out of the playoffs, or worse, we draw with them. Now you're like, well, crap. And Kevin's going, he's doing the hand signal for like, I disagree, but I kind of agree because that's where I stand on things.
Oh, I mean, I'll bet you all the money in my net worth that we're not going to win 4-0 and then 3-0. Like that's just like,
really?
I don't think. Yes.
What is your net worth, Kev?
I'm not going to tell you.
I need to see your portfolio before I make this bet.
I was going to say, with all my debt included.
Send me your Robinhood account and we'll see what you're doing here.
But no, I mean, look, I think, fine. Look, they're out of the playoffs, but I think it's doing them a bit of disservice saying that like we just walk through them. No, Steve, you can't get in on this. I think 2 wins, no matter how those games play out, would be wonderful. If we go into the playoffs
I don't
with
agree.
our last 4 games being 3 wins and a draw, one of them beating a Tampa team that hasn't lost since freaking January, and a Miami game that by all accounts we had a goal taken away from us, I feel great. I don't care even if it is a 3-2.
We're not talking points. We're talking confidence. We're talking emotion. We're talking something that
Yes.
you can't necessarily track.
3 wins and a draw out of the past 4. I'm great.
Hold on.
Team.
Let me ask you this, because we're diving headfirst down these rabbit holes. If the team wins 3-2 at Highmark Stadium,
Yeah,
do you think Lily is like, good
when
job,
has Lily
guys, you
ever
did
been
great.
like that?
But
Lily's
that's my
never
point.
like that. Yeah.
No. I think that Lily's pretty good at. We've had this conversation. He doesn't let the guys get too high. He doesn't get them get too low. You get your rear end torn out by Lily in the second to last game of the season. You don't think that's going to affect how you're feeling 2 games later?
I mean, at this point, I don't think Lily reaming you has any effect because you're so used to it. You're like, okay, guess it's Saturday.
You just go to your happy place.
Yeah, it's the boy who cried wolf at this point. Like, if you constantly get reamed for everything, you stop caring about getting reamed.
Yeah,
I'm not saying that's exactly how Lily is. I'm sure it probably isn't that bad, but it does look like that from the sidelines sometimes, where he's yelling at the players for 45 minutes after the game while fans are still in the stadium waiting, to shake their hands or to send them off.
But Mike, I'm putting words in your mouth, and stop me if I am. But I think the only difference the only thing that we're differing on is you're saying, 2 wins to finish out the season isn't enough. It has to be 2 emphatic wins, and I'm just saying no, 2 wins is enough. I mean, really, that's the only difference that we're talking about here.
I think it depends on how we play. If it's a nervy, oh no, we're barely holding on to 2 goals because Battery's really taking it to us, that's very different from we get to the 85th minute and we're up 2-0 and we're closing in on their goal for another score. So
the only pushback I have against that is I feel like sometimes for confidence, coming back from behind, showing that grit, showing that heart can have more confidence boosting effects than skating through, feeling like you didn't really have to try, and then going in with false bravado into the playoffs because you played against a team that was just not showing up. If the team battles back from a hard-fought one, and that is how they have their confidence boosted, that's fine. I'm not saying it has to be emphatic wins, but I do think there is some weird nebulous you need the 3 points regardless, but there could be ways that you get those 3 points that will give you more confidence that isn't necessarily an emphatic win.
Right. I think part of my precondition for this is the teams that we're playing and the fact that they're both out of the playoffs. I think if you come behind against Tampa, you come behind from Charlotte, then that feels different than a come from behind from a team that that's packing it up and going home in 2 games. So
yeah, but I mean, don't you think Hartford's different than Loudoun? They're both out of the playoffs.
Yeah,
but it's much more closer to us than Loudoun. And I do think Charleston Battery is a team that, it's Charleston Battery has a history with the Hounds, both old guard. They will show up to this game, and both of these teams are going to show up to this game because, yes, they're out of the playoffs, but what better way to end your season than beating a team that's near the top of the playoff or top of the division, where you can be like, you know what, we're not that bad. Yes, we got hard done through the season, but we beat Pittsburgh leaving the season.
We take Hartford's best scorer, Dixon and every,
there's reasons for these teams to play. That's all I'm saying.
Listen, this is all hyperbole at this point, but honestly, do we want to compare ourselves? But in our mind, do we want to say, you know what, we fought really hard against these 2 teams that are outside the playoffs, or do we want to think we're in the playoffs for a reason, we're a dominant team, and we should crush these guys? I think so much of what happens in the playoffs is mentality, which is where we've suffered because we keep rebuilding our team every year. And the teams that do well have been together for years and years. And we bang this drum for multiple seasons. But yeah, So that's we'll see what happens this weekend.
I get your point for sure.
Give me
Yeah,
give
I
me
get your
give me a score prediction, Kev. Since you don't think it'll be 4-0, what do you think it'll be? I'm gonna say 3-0 while you're pondering. Go ahead.
3-0.
I mean, we do look. The fire will be lit under our butt, knowing that we, a draw isn't good enough.
Better.
We need a win. We'll be at home. We have a good record at home this season. The fans will be up for it. Fingers crossed. It's a lovely day and everyone's out in full voice.
It's supposed to be cold as heck, but yeah, go ahead.
Whatever.
Sorry, I know.
And so I think given that, I'll say 2-0 seems about right.
Josh.
I have a hard time believing this game will have any nil in it, because this season against Charleston, we've seen 3-3, 3-2. Like, it's been high scoring games. I think, 3-2. So like all these games, the lowest we've been is 1-1. And that was in July. So I feeling this game's going to be high scoring. Like, I could see another 3-2. Obviously, I want Pittsburgh to be on the 3 side for this game. I don't think it's going to be a shutout on either side. There's going to be a lot of goals, and it's going to be nerve-wracking. But, welcome to the Hounds.
Okay, fair enough. That's what we think. Obviously, let us know what you think. We've spent 56 minutes talking, largely about sort of the Miami incident, followed by, speculating about what could happen here over the next few games. So obviously your thoughts and ideas are welcome as well. Gentlemen, before we get out of here, Premier League was back from the international break. Aston Villa was up 2-0 with 11 minutes left and somehow lost 3-2 to Wolves. So I'm not feeling great right now. Yeah. Thanks for the face, Kev. That's great.
I didn't know. I'm reacting in real time.
It was terrible. It was so good until it was terrible. Josh, how you feeling about Everton at this point?
Honestly, right now I'm looking up what the score was because I don't know. I haven't been paying attention. This week Everton was the last thing on my mind with Hounds stuff and friends coming over and stuff like that. So yeah, I don't even know how we did. But
Kev, Liverpool are not in first place. Chelsea have supplanted them. How even though Liverpool won 5-0 on the weekend, I think it was. So how are you feeling about things?
Great. No, I think we look really sharp. On the weekend, everyone played really well by all accounts. If we stay injury free, I think I said it last time we talked about it. I think by the end of the season, Liverpool will absolutely be shoulder to shoulder with whoever's going to win the league. They might not win it, but it's going to be tight. Love watching his team. Love watching Salah at this point. Salah is. I don't know if you guys saw. Yeah, Laura Ellen, Brighton's fourth, which is incredible. It's we're not 10 games in the season, but we're awfully close. And Brighton being
8,
fourth is no fluke. It's a little bit. I'm not gonna.
Don't poke that bear.
But I would, Les, if you haven't watch if you like football or soccer at all, just catch Salah's goal at Watford. It was insane.
It was crazy.
So I hope he gets a new contract. I hope he stays at Liverpool because he's just a joy to watch.
I don't want to spend too much more time talking about this, but Kev, obviously there was a lot of news in that Newcastle was purchased by basically the Saudi state, even though the league is like, no, it's not the Saudi state. And now there's a bunch of teams, basically every team is sort of up in arms over it and what this could potentially mean. Realistically, do you think that Newcastle is like the new Man City?
Well, before we even get to that point, I'll point out really quickly, there's a really, really well-written article in the New York Times by Rory Smith talking about the Saudi takeover for Newcastle, where he details everything and really well. And I think the thing that that should be talked about first before talking about anything else is just like the sports washing that's going on with the Saudi state, and just how grim and egregious, their human rights track record is, and trying to sports wash their image through having people think about Newcastle first when they think of, Saudi Arabia, rather than, their stance against persecution of LGBTQ plus people and everything. So yeah, I mean, that's first and foremost, but to kind of answer your question too about, I mean, they're not the new Man City because their wealth in that fund is 10x of what City's wealth is. It's insane. They're now wealthier than like every club in Europe combined. Like their wealth is unmatched. And so I don't know where this is going to go. I mean, I think City have shown they've shown how you can't just snap your fingers and inject $1 billion a summer and win the league next season. It takes some time, but I think the only question is how long. I mean, Newcastle will win a league, win a Champions League, whatever, in the next, I don't know, 15 years at least. I mean, and it's probably going to be shorter than that. Yeah, it's just when and how they get there. But yeah, it'll be really interesting.
Let me ask you this: you have unlimited funds. Who do you get as your manager?
Yeah, no, I think the manager is the right question. I mean, because you can't, like, what I see, like, people are saying, like, Mbappe to Newcastle in the chat. Like, it's going to take 5 to 10 years for that. Maybe not that long. It's going to take them time to be able to attract, the world-class players. Sure, money talks, absolutely.
I was going to say, when you got all the money in the world, you don't got time. You just throw it.
Yeah, but I know it's a bit facetious. Maybe it's not. I don't know. But Mbappe's not going to go to Newcastle even if you give him like $1 billion a week. Even in because he wants to win the Ballon d'Or. And if you want to win the Ballon d'Or, you have to be in the Champions League. You have to be winning titles. You have to be doing all that. And you can't be, So there's going to have to be this buffer period. City realized this as well in the first few years where you start building up a team. So I think the manager is the right question. People have been talking about Conte. People don't think he's necessarily going to go. I mean, I think that's the issue. There's not a ton of good manager selection out there right now. So yeah, like Zidane, people, I don't know. So I don't if I can just pick anyone, even if they're in a job right now,
Klopp.
I mean, I do love Klopp. I don't know. That's a good question. I mean, Pep wouldn't do it.
Okay, one second. I don't think people realize how much money this is. This is so much money. Like they could basically just buy Real Madrid, like all the players, coaching staff, everything, and just put them in Newcastle. Like they could do that to Barcelona, the PSG. Like they could just buy
Barcelona to be like, thank you, we are so in debt.
Cool. Yeah, just buy all the players, the coaching staff, everyone, and just put them in Newcastle. Like that's how much money we're talking here. It's not like there's saying the sky's the limit is almost laughable.
It's like undershooting it.
It's exactly. It's so stupid how much money that they could throw. Like I'm not saying they're going to throw all this money in because they're worth this much money, the owners, doesn't mean they're going to use all that money. But like they could.
I think the rumor I've been hearing that's getting passed around is through like FFP regulations, the maximum they can spend in January is 200 million, and then in the summer 500 million. So over the course of the next, under 12 months, they can spend 700 million. I know. That's
also not thinking that people who have this much money can find ways to get around the rules or can pay off the rules and be like, okay, we somehow found more money. I mean, it's loopholes and crap like that. Like I have no faith that this is not going to break everything. The only way it's not going to break everything is if sanctions get real with it, like within the league, and they don't allow it, or if they just don't want to spend that much money. Like it could just be their own choice. And they're like, no, we don't want to put that much money into this. Like this is more of, whatever.
Wait, Josh, you're saying that people can be bought off in a soccer game?
I don't know if that.
The corner, that's it. Let's get on with the game, I guess.
What? Wait, what? Hold on, I missed that. Wait.
The corner, that's it. Let's get on with the game, I guess.
That's great.
All right, before we end the podcast,
By the way, I'm saving that for like the rest of forever. There are some clips and things like, our little ESPN error screen. Thank you for your patience. We're just keeping that forever. We're going to use that whenever we can. Go ahead.
Okay, I just wanted to use this platform as a way to kind of advertise for the Steel Army real fast. We have Pride Night coming up. The Hounds are having Pride Night, and I don't want to show the scarf because I don't know if I don't want to step on any toes and show the scarf before it's ready to be shown. But we have a new Pride scarf where all the proceeds will go to charities. But it is the first time ever we've done a scarf with the Hounds. So it will have the Steel Army logo and the Hounds logo on it, and it's a Pride scarf.
That's awesome.
Super. It's the best design I've seen us do. We had one Pride scarf before this, but yeah, this one is so awesome. It's also a summer scarf, so it's going to be a lighter scarf, so that way, you can actually use it throughout the season instead of having a heavy scarf the whole season. But yeah, it's going to be $20. We're going to have them at the tailgate. We only ordered 100 of them, but so yeah, if you want one, come to the tailgate, get there early because they're going to go fast. I got a feeling.
Yeah, and
like I said, first scarf ever we done with the Hounds. So Steel Army logo and the Hounds logo is on the scarf.
That's awesome. That's so cool. And voting for Player of the Year and
that just started
up today. So if you're in the Steel Army, check your email, check Twitter and all of that. But you can go and get your votes in for all the various awards that the Steel Army hands out at the end of the year.
Pro tip for that: if you are voting, the easiest way to get into Speakeasy, because a lot of people have issues getting into Speakeasy, go to your email and search for Dispatch, because the Steel Army Dispatch always has the Speakeasy password at the very bottom of the email, and then that's what you put in as the password for the Speakeasy on the Steel Army website, and that's where you can access the voting.
Yeah, so make sure you go check that out, gentlemen. Anything else before we wrap this one up and anxiously sit on the edge of our seats as the Hounds play the Battery this weekend?
I mean, don't wait for this weekend. Wednesday, Charleston plays. Or wait, no, who do they play? I can't remember now. I just said it, but I can't remember. But yeah, you got to watch these other games because they unfortunately have a lot of meaning right now. Yeah. So yeah, Charleston plays not until Friday, so you can watch that on Friday. But then Miami on Wednesday plays the Rowdies.
Yeah. So
try to be optimistic. We have something to fight for rather than something that we're trying not to lose. So.
Okay. All right.
Mr. Positivity over here.
Thanks, Kev. Hey, thanks everybody for listening. Make sure you head to mongols.com, click on support the show to become a Patreon follower. This is your weekly reminder, as always, that Black Lives Matter. It's funny because you've seen, especially across the Premier League, there are some fans and there are some players that are starting to protest the protest, but then you still hear stories about young Black athletes that are getting harassed on the field. And it's like, this is why it's so important to continue the protest, to continue to say that, yeah, of course, Black Lives Matter, and to support the players and everything that they do. So we're going to keep saying it, regardless of whether people keep kneeling or not. And hopefully it resonates even with one person, then it's well worth our time to make that point. So yeah, weekly reminder, obviously Black Lives Matter. Thank you to our sponsor, Roughneck Scarves, official scarf supplier to USL, MLS, and US Soccer. Get custom scarves for your group or team at roughneckscarves.com. Tired of the same old uniform or cookie cutter templates from Nike and Adidas? Looking for a unique, completely custom kit for your youth club, Sunday league squad, adult, or even pro team? Icarus FC can help you create the kit of your dreams at an affordable price. Let them help you design your new custom kit today at icarusfc.com. Looking for more great USL news? Head over to bgn.fm, where we've got now over 100 fans and players that are writing and podcasting about the beautiful game. Lots of great features that went up on the site this week. Check them out at bgn.fm. Otherwise, thanks, everybody. We will talk to you very, very soon.
Cheers.
Later.
The corner, that's it. Let's get on with the game, I guess.